54th afternoon session of the Portland City Council. Christine, please call the roll.
Ryan. Gonzalez. Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. Now we'll hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum, which I will try to adhere to.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with City Council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. A timer will indicate when your time is done. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony today should address the matter being considered. When testifying, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. For testifiers joining virtually, please unmute yourself once the council clerk calls your name.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Item 421, I've had a request to move that to the front of the agenda.
Revised solid waste and recycling rates and fees for franchised residential collection and the commercial tonnage fee effective July 1st, 2023.
This is a non-emergency ordinance. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, today's ordinance is to adjust rates and fees associated with garbage and recycling collection in our community. Every year, in accordance with the franchise agreement governing residential garbage and recycling service, the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability conducts a detailed review of the cost of service. The franchise agreement and the code require that we adjust rates to cover the cost of service. Portland is committed to being a leader in the recycling and composting field, and our residents and businesses are recycling and composting over half their waste, which is much higher than the national average of 32%. Portland is also committed to clean and livable city. Through the fees collected under this program, BPS is investing in the impact reduction program and has expanded the public trash can program to 1,440 cans, including Southeast Portland in late 2021, North Portland in 2022, and Northeast Portland earlier this year. Last week, I had the pleasure of celebrating the latest expansion in St. John's, and we were joined by Alex Chu and LaToya Lovely, two of the local artists, many of whom are artists of color, who have contributed the art you see on these cans. Our recycling, composting, and public place trash collection programs are also funded in part through a fee charged on each ton of garbage collected from businesses and multifamily properties. In accordance with our long-term funding plan for the public trash can program, and to address costs associated with food scraps collection in the commercial sector, BPS is recommending an increase in our commercial tonnage fee. We have a world-class garbage and recycling collection system, and I've been working with BPS to maintain that and believe that today's proposal helps ensure that. BPS Director Donnie Oliveira and Evan Polk with the Solid Waste and Recycling team are here to share the recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubio. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Donnie Oliveira. I'm the Director of the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. As Commissioner Rubio just detailed, we're here for our annual process to adopt residential franchise rates and commercial tonnage fees to maintain our city's collection of garbage, recycling, and compost services. We'll note that we covered a lot of this in detail at the work session, so this is largely focused on the process for how the rate was set and some of the details around the services that are provided. I want to stress that the rates that are associated with today's request are focused on ensuring that the existing service is maintained. This is a world-class service that the City of Portland residents rely on, including the public trash can program and our impact reduction program, which these fees support. And with that, I'll turn over to my colleague, Evan Polk.
All right, thank you, Donnie. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Evan Polk, and I am the Solid Waste and Recycling Manager at BPS. Today, we're here to present the results of this year's review of the residential garbage and recycling rates, and then the recommended rates, and the commercial tonnage fee for the coming fiscal year. As a reminder, this is a slide some of you have seen recently. Just over 25% of our waste comes from the residential sector, which includes single-family homes up through fourplexes. The city reviews and sets rates for collection services provided in this sector. The commercial sector generates about 3/4 of our waste, and this includes businesses, construction, and multifamily properties with 5 or more units. Although we don't set rates for this sector, we do provide some oversight through commercial hauling permits. We'll first talk about the rate review process pertaining to the residential sector. We manage residential collection through a franchise system. It's a hybrid public-private partnership that captures the benefits of public oversight with the benefits of private sector competition and efficiency. Through this system, we support increased recycling and waste reduction. Over the years, for example, we've been able to expand recycling and add food waste collection. We've also been able to make significant strides in improving environmental performance, for example, in requiring newer trucks and the use of renewable fuels to reduce pollution. We're also able to deliver financially sustainable and good value collection service that supports good jobs. And finally, our system is reliable. The haulers show up. The City of Portland's franchise agreement ordinance for residential service requires a city to conduct a rate review process annually and to adopt rates sufficient to recover the system's costs and operating margin. Rate setting ensures that we can maintain a financially viable, efficient, and sustainable collection system while ensuring that the fees are fair, reasonable, and reflect the city's goals. The fact that individual haulers aren't each guaranteed a specific profit incentivizes them to continue delivering service in a cost-effective and efficient way. So today's hearing represents one of the final steps in a 6-month process that gets underway each January when we send our haulers a template to report their detailed costs. In March through April, we review and vet these costs with the help of a third-party CPA and an economist and incorporate them into our rate model. Lastly, bringing them to an advisory body and city council hearings in May. The detailed cost reports that we receive from our haulers include the cost to provide collection and disposal services for garbage, recycling, food scraps, and yard debris. Residential rates are based on a sample of hauler costs from the previous year and then vetted by the city, as mentioned. We also incorporate known upcoming costs, such as if there's a new union contract and then we have some known wage increases, or the disposal fee that is set by Metro. Once those costs are vetted, the rate is then set to recover those costs plus the target operating margin of 9.5% and the franchise fee. So that's a general overview of the approach. Let's speak specifically to this year's review. We saw several drivers of increased real costs. First, as we know, inflation has driven up the cost of goods and services across the board. Historically, fluctuating recycling processing costs have bumped back up in the last year. Also, haulers, just like others, are in a competitive labor market and provide good living wage jobs, and so they're paying more for drivers and staff. Metro, which sets disposal fees for their transfer stations, adopted an 11.2% increase in the per ton tip fee this year and a 58% increase in the transaction fee. So we're seeing an increase in disposal costs. And lastly, this year, recommended fees include an 8% franchise fee. On the other side, this year we did see modest cost declines for fuel, depreciation, and general administrative costs, and those are incorporated into the rate. This slide shows the recommended fees for residential garbage and recycling service for the upcoming year. The 5 different service levels shown in this table reflect about 90%, just over 90% of the customer base, with the remainder of the service levels in the exhibit for your ordinance. Those service levels see proposed fees in line with these shown here. By far, the most common service levels are 35 and 60-gallon service, and for these, BPS recommends an overall increase of just over $4 per month, on average a 10 to 11% increase. You saw this slide in the citywide fees and rates meeting a couple weeks ago. A history of our fees over the last 11 years. Each line represents a different volume of garbage service with the 90-gallon service level at the top. This slide also shows the recommended increase for this year at the far right. As you can see, our garbage and recycling collection rates have been pretty stable over the long term. Residential customers in Portland today are paying less than or equivalent to the rates in 2012 in today's dollars. If you remove the disposal cost component from this slide, which is showing costs in 2023 dollars, if you remove the disposal cost component, which has increased significantly in recent years, but it's not in our haulers' control, and you show only the collection costs, we'd probably show that our collection costs trend even further below inflation. Also, as a repeat from our prior presentation, as this slide shows, Portland's not an outlier in its fees. For the level and quality of service we provide, our fees are very cost-effective. We'll wrap up the residential rate review by sharing with you about the discussion held at the Planning Commission. On May 9th, the Planning Commission held a hearing for us as an interim public advisory body while we await the development of a new commission focused on sustainability that's expected to be our public advisory body in the future. I want to thank the Planning Commission for taking on that extra duty. Staff presented on our rate-setting process, the various cost drivers in this year's review, and the recommended rates. As we concluded that discussion, one planning commissioner suggested that other funding sources should be used for public trash collection services, which led to a planning commission recommendation supporting adoption of the recommended garbage and recycling increases with the exception of the franchise fee increase. The planning commission's subsequent recommendation letter, which was submitted to you last week, supports the public trash collection program and recognizes that alternative funding sources may not be available. So with appreciation for the Planning Commission's work on this issue, staff's recommendation remains respectfully unchanged for several reasons. Firstly, public trash collection expansion is well underway. The council expectation set in 2021 was to fund public collection through that system, through our existing solid waste system. Solid waste funds are also supporting the impact reduction program. This is consistent with the city budget, and we really don't have purview over other funding alternatives. So now turning our attention to the commercial sector, this will be a little simpler. Commercial waste collection in Portland is governed through an open permit system, and the city provides some oversight over how commercial haulers serve businesses and multifamily communities through code. And as part of their permit, haulers collecting commercial waste are to pay a fee on each ton of garbage. And to fund the rising costs of service provided through the Solid Waste Fund, BPS staff recommend council increase the commercial tonnage fee by $1 per ton from $14.60 to $15.60. In the recent presentations on rates and fees, we've described how the city's solid waste fund is resourced by the franchise fee component of our residential rates and the commercial tonnage fee. So we wanted to focus just for a moment on the cost drivers. Costs are rising as the city expands public trash collection services across the city, as we continue to support the impact reduction program, and as we strive to achieve better and more equitable access to collection and waste reduction services, including for businesses and multifamily residents. So the collection fees and rates recommended today will allow our system to continue to deliver excellent service for residents in the community, and importantly, will continue to resource the public trash collection program. We did want to highlight that particular service a little further since we haven't had the opportunity to provide you an update on it recently. At direction of council, BPS has quickly and efficiently expanded the public trash can program from roughly 700 trash cans in 2019 in a small number of districts, mostly downtown, to the more than 1,400 trash cans that Commissioner Rubio mentioned, spread across more business districts and surrounding residential areas. This program has been the city's primary opportunity to leverage greater racial equity in the waste system and is doing business with multiple BIPOC-owned companies and artists while helping to address the city's public trash issues. As the program has expanded, BPS commitments to the program have grown from approximately $1.2 million in 2019 to $2.6 million this year, and projected to reach $3.6 million annually in coming years. Last week, as Commissioner Rubio noted, we were proud to celebrate the service with community members, our haulers, some local artists, and local media in St. John's. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, questions? Commissioner Matz.
I just have a couple. Can we go back to the slide that shows residential rates by the size of can?
Yes, Commissioner.
There we go. I think, I guess this one does it for me too. I was just struck Let's go back to the line
Lines?
chart. Yeah. The bottom two lines here just struck me as being odd and counterintuitive. I think what it's showing me here is that a 20-gallon cart costs the same amount as the 35-gallon E4W cart, and maybe I just don't understand what an E4W is.
Correct.
It seems like so what's going on with that?
With apologies for the acronym, E4W stands for every 4 weeks. It's monthly service. We did want to, you're noticing here that the proposed increase for the monthly 35-gallon cart is a little larger than the proposed increase for the other service levels. And there's a reason for that. This service provides basically the same volume per month as a biweekly 20-gallon trash cart. So once a month, 35 gallons, twice a week, every other week for 20. But the monthly service has historically been given a pretty significant subsidy that was paid for by higher costs on the 60-gallon and the 90-gallon carts. And we'd like to eliminate that subsidy and bring the cost of that service closer to its actual cost. And that happens to be very similar to the 20-gallon biweekly cart.
Okay, thank you. I think that answers my question. The other thing which jumped out at me during your presentation was the contribution that you make to IRP. Maybe I was not fully aware of that contribution before today. Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Yeah, Commissioner. So BPS has been giving generally about $1 million annually to the impact reduction program for general city cleanup. And that's a contribution that we've been, happy to make, but we've had to adjust our fees to capture that, revenue.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Thank you for playing a role in that important space. And can I see let's take another look at the slide which shows the geographic location of public garbage cans.
Yes, Commissioner.
Great. I love this program. Your cans are efficient and aesthetically pleasing. You also, I think in your presentation, mentioned that this is part of an equity move here. Can you just unpack what you mean by that in the context of what we see?
Great question, Commissioner. Thank you for the opportunity to share on this. So largely, and this is generally a national situation, our waste companies are historically white-owned and led by men. And so with the barrier to entry to be a hauler that does franchises or commercial collections is quite high. So there needs to be an entry-level program that new and emerging businesses can take advantage of. So that's where the public trash can program comes in. We're able to provide contracts to haulers that are entering in the field to both build their capacity for trucks and staffing and drivers, so that when the opportunity to acquire a franchise or to get into the commercial sector is there, they actually have the resources, infrastructure to do so. So in that way, it's an entry-level program to the waste field.
Great. That's a great answer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Rubio. I have no more questions.
Very good. Any further questions? Commissioner Ryan.
Yes, hi. Could you go back to the rate increases that consumers will experience? Was there a
Yes,
slide on
Commissioner.
that?
The table slide,
Yeah,
this one?
that one. Okay. I just wanted to look at it again, honestly. Okay. All right, so last week we had a lot of dialogue about wanting to be not tone deaf to the increase of cost of living. And so the majority voted against rate increases. So this week, this will put some pressure on consumers, right, to spend more money on their fixed cost. So I'm just trying to rationalize the difference.
So thanks for the opportunity to answer that, Commissioner. The increase here that you're seeing is largely operational in that the rates, a significant majority of the rates are supporting our haulers to ensure the service is maintained. So as Eben alluded to, there's inflation, there's labor costs, there's disposal costs that are putting pressures on the system that are basically pass-throughs to our customers. And they're generated, we mentioned the rate increase that Metro passed for disposal, but frankly, just the cost of doing business for haulers is going up. And so our concern would be that if we were to flatten this rate in any way, we would actually be putting pressure on our haulers to deliver the same level of service with less operating costs. And I just want to note that our haulers are exceptional. They show up whether it's freezing weather or in the heat domes that we've experienced. They don't take a day off. And so it feels like an appropriate level to maintain that quality of service. And you're right, it is pressure, but waste, beyond just the recycling composting component of environmental stewardship, as a utility, waste is a health issue. We want to make sure that waste is off the street as fast as possible.
Okay.
I have a couple of, Commissioner Rubio, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have one
Yeah, you bet.
question. Can you talk a little bit about Metro's actions recently and how does that interconnect with
This slide.
our rates?
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner. So these are the cost factors for this rate increase. So we acknowledge the inflation. What Commissioner Rubio is alluding to is the Metro disposal fees. So we are in a regional waste system that Metro sets disposal costs for and fees. So Metro Council will set a disposal fee that all jurisdictions within the region have to adopt as a part of their rates. So in this particular year, although we were expecting an 8% increase, that actually is an 11% increase for this year, and that's a material impact to our fees at large.
Can I ask a question on that? Commissioner Rubio is raising an interesting question. What was the recommendation to the Metro Council?
Staff had recommended 8%, which was a agreed-upon increase that council had approved and adopted last year. So we were looking for sort of more cost certainty from our partners at Metro, and staff had put together essentially an 8% increase annually, so it was cost predictability. So that's what we were expecting, and council went forward with an 11.2% increase instead.
You know?
Will you speak to that? The main question that arose there is the Metro Council's desire to bring their disposal costs closer in line with the actual cost of service to operate the transfer stations. So what they're seeing is they're incurring costs that are higher than what are reflected in the disposal fees, and they want to move closer to aligning to cost recovery.
So, and thank you for that answer. What strategies were considered to, and I'm particularly concerned about the residential side, to be honest with you. What strategies were considered as alternatives to simply increasing the cost to consumers?
Well, I can answer for our part. So if we're looking at cost-cutting measures, we'd probably want to talk to our haulers about efficiency potential. But the reality is, Mayor, these are based on their actual operating costs. So we'd be looking at updating a system, and in real time, we don't want to in any way impede the ability of the haulers to continue to pick up trash. On a broader scale, we'd probably look at things like rolling back the public trash can program, probably reducing our contribution to the impact reduction program that could put downward pressure on the rates. So these are services that we're considering viable and essential to our cities, like cleanup. So it feels like there's just not a lot of place to put downward pressure on our rates right now.
What are we seeing in terms of residential trash showing up in our public trash receptacles on the commercial side, or alternatively just on the side of our roads? I mean, at some point, if people can't afford it, they can't afford it. So what are they doing?
So that's it's a question that's at the core of our work with Metro in terms of the public trash collection program, but also just the illegal dumping that we're experiencing. So it's not just residential, single-family residential, it's what's the experience of our multifamily residents. Do they have adequate service? And so those questions kind of go beyond even these rates. The residential rates we're talking about are just curbside, single-family. So we have a whole multifamily sector that needs a real deep dive and evaluation that we look forward to taking on next fiscal year. But in truth, Mayor, you're actually touching on the question that needs to be solved is where is the source of this illegal dumping? Is it cost prohibitive? Is it just access to service? And that's something that we're working on with Metro. I will say that, not to get too far ahead of my staff, but we are looking at a bulky waste program that will help provide more service so we can take care of those larger items that don't fit in your bin. But we're trying to find the triage solutions for that.
Low income.
Yeah, and also the other piece that we're looking at is a low-income program that will help, again, reduce those pressures on ratepayers.
The obvious conundrum there is as you raise rates, there will be more people going into the low-income programs. So it's not necessarily a one-for-one trade-off.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Commissioner Rubio, did you have another thought? Okay. Very good. This is a non-emergency ordinance. Do we have public testimony on this item?
We do. We have 3 people signed up.
Great, thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
First up is Michelle Carter. And they were planning to join in person, so we'll move on to Cameron Hudson. Apologies.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
My name is Michelle Carter, and I'm the co-owner of Junket Junk Removal. We work with Quentin and his team on the public trash can cleanup, and I just wanted to state how impactful it is for especially a lot of the local businesses who do have problems with trash in the city, but with the public trash cans being there, it helps put a dent into some of the unsightly trash that is along our streets. I know sometimes when my team goes out, the business owners will come out and thank them, offer them a drink if there's something that has piled up. And so I just wanted to kind of show my support for the public trash can service. And on a side note, I didn't originally sign up for this, but the question was asked about residential customers starting to illegally dump. We do a lot of other work around the city, and the majority of the illegal dumping that we see is actually from contractors, people, remodelers, contractors, hot tubs cut in half, unlicensed junk removers. So I don't know if that helps or not. But
Yeah, thank you. That's good
Thank
insight.
you so much.
Appreciate it. And does that complete public testimony?
2 more individuals. Cameron
sorry.
Hudson.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. How you guys doing? My name is Cameron Hudson. I am one of the owners and operators of All in Hall Junk Removal, which we deal with the auxiliary trash can collector position. So for us, we've been doing this for a while now. I want to say thank you to Ms. Teresa Green because she did initially get us going with that process from a small business, trying to get into the big business. This has helped us. We have gained traction to be able to now work with Multnomah County and Solve and other organizations. So this is a great program for us. As far as us picking up with some of the illegal dumping and things like that, like Ms. Michelle said, we do see a lot of it from contractors. It's not more so from residentials. But even when we do pick up at the residential homes, just a lot of people don't know what to throw away and what can be taken. So to get a part of the bulky waste program, that would be great so that we can assist in that. And as we clean up on the sidewalks, a lot of times people can't even go down the sidewalks because there's so many encampments on the sidewalk. So that's where a lot of the trash even comes from. It doesn't come from the residential. It just comes from the encampments being on the sidewalk, next to their sidewalk. So for them, that's their trash service. We are their trash service because we pick up everything within a 15-foot perimeter of the trash can. So that could be a lot of stuff. And so as far as All in Hall, we offer micro cleanup. So we did the Madrona Park project next to Adidas off of Greeley. We're doing Oaks Park right now. We do a lot of different projects. We do Tualatin Valley, Beaverton. So we just like to be a part of it, and we say thank you to the city for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Oh, did you have a question? I did. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, there's ongoing discussion about what code updates we should be doing with respect to time, place, manner restrictions for homeless. Do you have any areas where city code could help you in cleaning up? I mean, I realize you're a contractor essentially, but I'm just curious of your thoughts on where our code could assist us in cleaning up.
I can't necessarily say there's a code that can assist it or assist it. We do, hypothetically, we do 33rd Marine Drive. So we come through and we pick up once a month with Junket on Marine Drive. And as we clean up, they just move from one end of the street to the next end of the street. So even if you guys were to put forth I think it's the code of no camping on the sidewalk, I can't necessarily say that's going to improve anything. Now, it will improve as far as for the city trash can collectors because, there won't be so much trash on the street. So it will be a safety issue, that will improve for the safety of people, but then that will cut out, businesses such as us or other businesses who pick up in those areas. Because now, without the homeless there or without other people, that's less trash.
And are there ever times that you think something is trash that someone else doesn't think is trash?
Oh, all the time, all the time.
Is there particular recurring areas of disagreement on that?
I wouldn't necessarily say recurring areas of disagreement. I know like 2 of the cans that we pick up are off of Harold Street, and then there's the one off of Stark and 205. So along that trail, there's a lot of encampments along that trail. So sometimes there'll be shopping carts, there'll be couches, there'll be mattresses. We'll go to pick those things up, and someone will say, hey, don't take that mattress because I'm going to use that mattress. Well, we'll come back 2 or 3 days later, and the mattress is still sitting there. So it's not so much of they want the stuff, but I think it's just to say, I don't want you to touch the stuff. If that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Thank you for your testimony.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And our last testifier is Carrie McCullough.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Mayor Wheeler and commissioners, thanks for having me again. My name is Carrie Walker McCullough, and my family has owned and operated Walker Garbage Service in the city of Portland since 1948. Pretty proud of that. So just here today to reiterate that as a member of the Portland Haulers Association, we do participate in this very complete and deep dive into the cost of operations. It's a pretty big reporting piece that we complete each year to make sure our customers are paying a fair rate for the service that we are pleased and proud to provide to our neighbors in the city of Portland. We were a little bit blindsided by the amount of the Metro increase that was voted in, so very much in favor of the rates that the City of Portland staff presented to you earlier. We are pleased and proud to be in such a collaborative and productive partnership with the staff of the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. Also, so that's just my big pitch of please consider them as presented. Also, as a side note, just very pleased to have met Michelle and Cameron today of Holiday Junk and Junket. And so happy that they're doing such a great job of, especially out in, we mentioned 33rd and Marine Drive, just to help us sort of regain our city again. And so happy to have found this avenue for other companies to join us in our industry. It's something that we've talked about a lot at Portland Haulers Association. So pleased to have made their acquaintance and to see that it's working so well. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me back.
Commissioner Maps, did you have a comment?
Yeah, number one, I appreciate all the staff testimony and the community testimony today. A theme that echoes through several of these presentations is the challenges associated with cleaning up bulky waste, which triggered a memory in me, in that I know if you go back to the pre-pandemic days, at the very least, Civic Life used to help organize a couple of bulk waste days, which was a great program. I used to help organize a couple of those out in Park Rose. I was just doing some Googling to see if that service still exists, and I'm not quite sure the current status of Civic Life's engagement with bulk waste disposal days. But I do see Metro seems to be involved there. I find Yeah, and it looks like Donnie's coming up. What's going on in that space, do you know?
Commissioner Maps, we are still doing community events. This past year, we also included our events to expand just from single-family to also work with multifamily. So we worked with some of our CDCs to do multifamily cleanup events, bulky waste events. Our public trash program, including the collections program, it had debris box days where we'd set up debris boxes in neighborhoods. And so we're still doing that in partnership with our neighborhoods to run that service.
I'm glad to hear that. And in my experience, those have been very popular. I remember we'd have a parade of cars with old couches and whatnot coming out to try to participate in events like that. So glad to hear that it survived the pandemic.
Could I ask you to reiterate something you said, and I want to make sure I got it right. Did you say the residential rate is going up 10 to 11%? Is that what you said?
No, the residential rate is, I'm sorry, the disposal cost from Metro was going up 11%.
Ah, thank you. Okay. I couldn't even read my own notes. Thank you. Very good. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, this is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Next item is 420.
Revise transportation fees, rates, and charges for FY 2023 to 24, amend transportation fee schedule, and fix an effective date.
First reading of a non-emergency ordinance. Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, this ordinance comes to us from the Portland Bureau of Transportation. This ordinance before us today revises transportation fees, rates, and charges for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Here is some context on these fees, rates, and charges. As I'm sure all of you know by now, PBOT is primarily funded through two sources: gas taxes and fees, like parking fees. Colleagues, you probably are also familiar with this reality by now, too. This fiscal model of relying on gas taxes and fees is unsustainable. Why? Well, revenues from gas taxes are in decline because cars are becoming more energy efficient, and revenues from parking meters are on decline because more people are working from home. Declining revenues means that PBOT is now in a fiscal crisis, and indeed has been in a fiscal crisis for many years. For example, PBOT has endured budget cuts for the past 5 years. I will remind you that in 2019-2020, PBOT's general transportation revenues were cut by $900,000. And in fiscal year 2020/2021, PBOT's general transportation revenues were cut by another $900,000. And in 2021/22, PBOT's general transportation revenues were cut by $8.8 million. And in 2022/23, PBOT's general transportation revenues were cut by $4.5 million. And today, as we go about developing the budget for next year, we expect that in 2023-24, PBOT's general transportation revenues will be cut by $6.3 million. I will just point out that this general trend is concerning and unsustainable. Here to tell us more about PBOT's budget for the next fiscal year, we have Jeremy Patton, Business Services Director with PBOT. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Commissioner, and joining me is Kevin Bumate, our Financial Services Manager at PBOT. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to start by, on the first slide, just kind of talking about the importance of why we're here today. The fee schedules that are before you help the Bureau preserve and maintain our assets. They operate the transportation.
Can I just ask a level-setting question?
Yep.
How is this different than the presentation we had last week?
There's not, I only have a couple slides to go through. I'm going to make it really,
great,
really
because
quick.
we don't need.
I'm not going to go through everything all over
We lived
again.
through that last week. I'm not sure we need to go through the same presentation this week.
Yeah, no,
So
I'm going to
for
skip
something
most
different.
of all of that
Okay.
stuff, and I'm just going to
Good,
highlight a
thank
few things that are different from the previous
you.
week. Yep. And I can even skip over this. It's just, yeah, high level. I think everybody kind of knows the importance of PBOT, and we can jump to the next slide. This is another slide, just a little bit of context setting around our asset management backlog, the importance of passing fees to make sure that this asset management backlog doesn't get any larger. It's currently at $4.7 billion, so these fees are very important to us. This slide is a little bit more context setting on just what we're talking about today. So if you're looking at PBOT's budget, we're talking about 22% of our budget is held within this fee schedule. Mostly that's parking garage revenues of about $11 million, system development charges of $10 million, parking permits, meter citation revenues of $60 million, and permits and charges of another $30 million. We have a number of exhibits before you today. There's 8 different exhibits covering everything from parking meter rates, regulatory fees for taxis and other ride companies, towing fees, SDCs, right-of-way use fees, utility permitting, just to name a few. And here is just kind of like the broad highlights, and what we've talked about over the last few weeks. What we talked about last week and what was included in the approved budget is what we have ended up filing for the ordinance that you see before you. So that includes the 20 cents decision that was made last week. That also includes the freezing of SDCs. The other things in there are mostly fee changes just reflecting rising costs for staff materials, and then the development review fees, including a phased multi-year approach to achieve cost recovery and minimize permitting delays moving forward.
So I'm honestly, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
Yep.
I'm really just trying to understand. Maybe there's a question for legal counsel. Is this a legal requirement that we go through this as part of the overall budget process? Is that why we're doing this?
It's not part of the budget process. It's the rule that PBOT adopts the fees has to be adopted by city council. So this is kind of the effectuating piece of the fee.
So would this be considered the fee hearing then? Is that
Correct.
an accurate
Yeah,
legal way to
that's
think of this?
an accurate colloquial way of dealing with this.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's very helpful for me. I was just confused as to why we're hearing this again. Now I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, last week we approved the actual budget. These are just the fees within the budget that we have to approve as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's really helpful. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No worries. I think I covered that one. And we're already on my last slide, which is really good because, yeah, there wasn't a lot to talk about because we've talked about it over the last few weeks. So just a few of the other fees that we wanted to highlight that maybe have not has gotten as much attention over the last few weeks. There's special events. So part of the proposed budget, we talked about kind of community events. We have changed the program around that. So rather than events being charged for maintenance operations to provide traffic control services, we're able to utilize private contractors or their own event support to provide these services, the folks who are actually running the events. So this change in service delivery should allow the events to provide those services at a cheaper rate. And the new rental program allows to the rents of barricades and cones for that work. So it's just providing some small fees for the public to be able to rent those barricades. There's a new nonprofit discount for community events in the right-of-way. So basically, we have included a charge that reduces the daily metered parking space rate from $18 per day to $9 per day for those nonprofits who are renting those spaces. There's a financial hardship fee within towing. It's an additional $5 fee on top of all tows, and what that will do is be set aside in a separate fund, and that funds can be used to cover and to draw upon for towing fees for those folks that face financial hardships. And then finally, council passed an ordinance in March around electric vehicle charging stations in the right-of-way and on city infrastructure, and within that ordinance, it said we would come back with the fee structures related to that, and so those fees are included in the ordinance as well. Questions?
I asked all mine. Anybody else? And thank you for bearing with me.
We might have public testimony on this.
Okay, good.
We do.
How
We have
many people?
3 people.
Perfect. Thanks, gentlemen.
Yep.
First up is Ryan Sotomayor.
Is Ryan online?
Yeah, looks like they're in Zoom. They're in Zoom.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can. Hi, Ryan. We can see you as well.
Super. Nice to see you, Mayor. Nice to see you, commissioners, and everybody else in the room. I'm from Labor's Local 483. Up until October, I was the employee of Portland Parks and Recreation, and now I'm the business manager of Labor's Local 483. I appreciate the time to speak with you all today. I'd like to call out some testimony that I heard from our labor partners, particularly Rachel Whiteside last week and Robert Martineau from Protect 17 and ASHME 189, and just amplify and echo those comments that this is going to be harmful to our workforce. It's going to be harmful to the community. In 2019, a third of the recreation contract was laid off, and the same language was used, that labor unions had asked for wages, and now there was a discrepancy in the budget, and the people on the front lines were employees of the city that were laid off. In 2020, during COVID, all the folks that worked for the Portland Bureau of Transportation, every single one of them that's represented by 483 was working in person. They were called heroic, they were called essential, and they took concessions so that the city could balance its budget. Those are real sacrifices by employees that are represented under these labor contracts. Again, people that were working in person in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. Those that repair all of the roads, those who install accessibility necessities for our disabled citizens and constituents. This isn't that much money. This isn't that much money. And it's very frustrating to be on the side of things where we went out on strike to get a good solid contract. And now the city is turning around and blaming that contract and saying that this is causing us to have to make cuts. And we keep talking about the people that are leaving, but we're not talking about the people that are staying. Everyone that lives in the city of Portland deserves the services, and we need those services. We need the infrastructure to keep running. We need our roads. We need our sewers. I don't envy you of the decisions that you have to make, but laying off workers, walking back contracts is harmful to the community. It's harmful to the employees. If the city of Portland wants to be an employer of choice, it needs to step up and support its employees. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Next is Paige Barton.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Councilors. My name is Paige Barton, and I'm proud to be a field representative with Labor's Local 483. We represent hundreds of workers in PBOT, BES, and Portland Parks and Recreation. I'm here today to urge your no vote on all three of these ordinances. Portland City laborers have not received full payment on the agreement that ended our strike on February 5th. We recently learned that we have a substantial disagreement with the city regarding the retroactivity of our agreement. We also have disagreement around wages for 17 Portland City laborers. The city has already been nickel and diming workers since our strike ended. Our members are expected to have an unreasonable degree of patience with pay-related issues, while the city moves at a glacial pace to implement bargain agreements. We have never seen the city move as quickly as you did to freeze rates. And now you're asking our members to take another hit in the name of doing business. Our union is joined by over 218 written public comments today asking for your no vote on these ordinances. The city has no way to fund these last-minute rate freezes without laying our members off. Nordstrom is not a constituent. The Portland Business Alliance, not a constituent. But the workers that you will lay off, they do vote. Their families vote. And the Portlanders directly harmed by bad policy and deferred maintenance costs vote. If these rate ordinances pass today, Labor's Local 483 will educate our membership about why we must become politically involved to have a greater say about who sits behind that podium. If these ordinances pass, we will work with other city unions to ensure that commissioners submitting an aye vote today are held accountable when they seek re-election. This city council has completely lost sight of who they represent. City workers deserve more respect than this. It is immeasurably unfortunate that any of us have to be here today to state this. The fact that we have to be here at all, asking for you to keep our members employed by fully funding the services they provide, is shameful. Our union continues to rightfully demand your respect. Right now, we have the opportunity still to move forward together. You can correct the course by voting no on these ordinances today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just a clarification, these are non-emergency ordinances, so we won't actually be voting today.
Thank you for the clarification, Mayor. We still urge your no vote.
Great, thank you.
And our last testifier is Rachel Whiteside.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello again. Good afternoon. I'm speaking on behalf of the 900 city employees represented by ProTech 17, who provide the professional and technical services across nearly all of your city bureaus. I'd actually like to start by thanking Commissioner Mapps for his work championing the people who keep the city physically running, maintaining the water and sewer and roads that are vital to all Portland members. Commissioner Mapps, thank you for standing by employees who have negotiated in good faith for wages that provide a solid living, wages that all Portlanders should have. It's been my personal experience in working with you that you maintain a healthy working office, ensuring that both management and labor are able to speak with you on a consistent and reliable basis. You've made time in your schedule to do regular shadowing in the field and interact with workers that are responsible for maintaining the city's critical infrastructure. This ensures that you understand both the physical infrastructure to the city as well as the emotional infrastructure and trust that is necessary to keep that functioning. And for this, I thank you. However, Commissioner Mapps cannot be the only member of council who is here advocating for this critical public infrastructure. The budget amendments that were adopted by council last week and captured in the fee structures that are being presented here today, they basically amount to unfunded mandates. The work it takes to maintain city assets isn't going to go away, just the funding to get it done. City workers, who mind you also show up regardless of the weather, are expected to do more with less. As Jeremy called out, PBOT's already faced years of do more with less, so there's only ever more to do with fewer and fewer resources for it. This is just not sustainable. Functioning traffic signals, safe routes to schools, and ADA ramps are public safety items that cannot be deprioritized. I'm here before you asking that you put sound policy over politics. Please stop circumventing the open, honest, and transparent governance when you disregard the hard works of dozens of employees and community members who participate in budget advisory committees and serve on the Public Utility Board. You're going to stop getting members of the public to volunteer in these positions. So please cease any budget cuts that will defer maintenance of city assets and delay capital improvement projects. Commit to adequately fund the things that make Portland a great place to live, work, and play. Vibrant parks and natural areas, accessible streets, and safe drinking water. The fee structure that is being presented today does not uphold the city values of equity, transparency, communication, collaboration, fiscal responsibility, and anti-racism. It does not meet the commitments that you've already made to your workforce and to the residents of Portland. I heard we're not voting no, but I would ask that you can reconsider items 420, 422, and 423. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rachel, just for the record, is your recommendation a no vote?
As a no vote,
Got
yes.
it. Okay, thank
Or,
you.
pull them off and do a little bit more work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Does that
That
complete
completes
public
testimony.
testimony? All right, further discussion on this item? I actually do have something I'd like to say. At my political peril, but I'm going to say it because I believe it. This is a balancing act. We have lots of constituencies, and the constituency I'm concerned about just experienced a 30-cent increase in their TriMet fares this afternoon. I'm worried about people in this city who are experiencing increases in dozens of fees, taxes, rate increases, and I'm keenly aware of the good work that our employees do, and I realize there's a trade-off implied here that will negatively impact our city employees. I know that. But I also know that we can't keep raising our taxes and our fees and our rates indefinitely on the people of this city when the data clearly shows that they have reached their breaking point. We have to figure out how to balance these competing factors. They're all important to me. There's no one right answer here. There's no one constituency that I'm going to listen to and ignore the others. And that's what makes these jobs hard. That's life. We have to balance competing interests. So I want you to know, if you feel like I'm being disrespectful to you as city employees, it's not that I'm being disrespectful to you, it's that I'm also trying to respect the other 655,000 people in this city that I represent and I was elected to represent. And there may be no popular solution here. These may be a combination of very unpopular choices because we're facing an environment of economic uncertainty and we're facing the kind of inflation we haven't seen in years. I mean, that's the causal factor here. It's not because we're bad people or indifferent people or uncaring people. It's because we have a real economic impact and we have to figure out how to address it reasonably and balance these competing interests. So I just want to say that, you know, from my perspective, that's how I'm looking at these issues and that's what I'm thinking about. Any further discussion on this item before I move it to second reading?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of comments. First, I just want to say I really appreciate your clarification of your thinking in this space. But first, let me start out by thanking everyone who showed up to testify today. I know my office has received something north of 300 emails around this topic in the last week or so. I hear your concern, and frankly, I feel your pain. I also understand what the mayor is saying. You know, like the mayor, I'm deeply concerned about the impact that inflation and taxes are having on Portlanders. Indeed, even last week, I voted to lower some SDC charges, and I voted to lower those SDC charges because I thought doing so might incentivize residential development here in Portland. It will come at some trade-offs, but it's a worthwhile experiment. On the other hand, respectfully, Mr. Mayor and the majority of my colleagues on council, I have to say the trade-offs that are associated with shaving 20 cents off of parking meter fees do not strike me as being in the benefit of Portlanders in general. You know, when you park at a parking meter, you can only stay for about 2 hours. We're talking about 20 cents an hour. So you're saving your average Portlander 40 cents in your typical outing to downtown, let's say. Number one, all of the evidence that we have in terms of surveying and whatnot, most Portlanders are completely insensitive to the cost of parking right now. Allegedly, one of the reasons why we are foregoing doing cost recovery or adequately funding our infrastructure bureaus is that we are wanting to make sure that people don't leave Portland. I will just tell you, I am deeply skeptical of the claim that 20 cents an hour on your parking meters is the thing that's going to drive someone to leave Portland. I don't think it's that. I think people are leaving Portland because navigating our bureaucracy is too difficult. I think by the time you pay the accumulation of fees that are associated with this, with living in Portland, it's awfully complicated. Homicides are at record rates. Houselessness, we literally got thousands of people sleeping on the streets every day. I mean, I think these are the things that are driving people out of town. You know, in the context of the city of Portland, we talk about both how much you pay in taxes and the value that you receive for the tax dollars that you pay. You know, today and in this space, we're going to save Portlanders about 20 cents in taxes, if you want to call that, you know, their fees actually. Which I would argue is a negligible savings that will not have a meaningful financial impact on Portlanders' lives. However, as we heard from the folks who actually do this work out in the field, the economic impact that it will have on public servants and our infrastructure is really significant. So what you're getting in return for the taxes or fees that you pay is going to be significantly diminished. So I am deeply skeptical and concerned that the trade-off that we are offering right here is not going to be in the benefit of the people of Portland, which is why I voted no on this last week, and I still believe that was the right choice on my part. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hand the floor back to you.
Thank you. Counterpoint. Sure. Because I enjoy this, and I appreciate it. And I'm not going to reiterate all of the talking points from last week. I really didn't want to go down this, but I agree with you that individually, we could look at every single fee increase and justify it. I agree with you 100%. And that's why, as far as I can tell, despite considerable publicity so far, every single government fee increase, except the ones that have come before this dais, have gone through as planned. The problem isn't the individual fees, it's the cumulative effect of taxes, of fees, of utility rate increases at the household level, which collectively is significant. And it's happening in 1 year, and I heard testimony from our own staff that you just reiterated that people don't care about the parking meter rates. Well, if they don't care, then why did we not raise them between 2016 and 2023 when year after year after year our public employees were experiencing the cuts that you described? So I guess this is a plea for planning. If this is a fact and the facts as presented to me are accurate from the Bureau, then it suggests to me we sat on our hands during good economic times, and now that we're in an economic shock, we're having to increase the fees on the people who live in this city. And that strikes me as wrong. And that's why I've said, I think we need to pause and take a harder look at this. So I hope where we agree, and I think we do, Mangus, I think we agree that we can't, you said at the beginning, and I agree with you emphatically, the current revenue model is deeply, fundamentally, and permanently flawed. It will never fix on its own. There needs to be a different structure here that reflects the fact that gas taxes are going to continue to go down, period. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the argument. And so I would hope that these uncomfortable conversations we've had as a council will precipitate some of those longer-term ideas. Because we can't come into this cycle again next year and the year after and the year after and just say, golly gee whiz, the gas tax revenue's down again. Well, of course it is, right? I mean, you agree with that. I do. Okay, we're in agreement. Commissioner Gonzalez, then Commissioner Rubio.
I am not inclined to rehash the arguments from last week.
I already did. I already did.
I will note at the onset, I disagreed with the majority's decision last week. I felt it was for the reasons I stated last week, and again, I don't want to rehash those. I just would like to make really two observations. One, if we take unilateral action on our fees and rates, we have to exert direct pressure on our public partners to do the same. And I had misgivings last week, and I continue to the expectation that we put this burden on our infrastructure as a city, on our city employees, without beforehand getting some concessions from other public partners. I felt it was misguided. I think the ship has sailed in a sense, so it is now incumbent on us to make sure that our public partners are being considerate in this regard. And evidently, in looking at what TriMet just announced recently, what we're hearing from Metro, they seem not to be getting the signals. They seem not to be following the lead we attempted to take. That's concerning. I think we have to use our positions to advocate for those other partners to take some hard steps as well. Secondly, I appreciate the testimony of labor today. I truly do. And again, I agreed with many of the concerns as last week. What this cannot be, in my opinion, though, is a contrast and a zero-sum game between our businesses in the city and public employees. And I think that framing is really, really unfortunate. When you talk specifically about PBOT and parking fees, we need Nordstroms to get people to park downtown, and that creates jobs. That's our revenue to support good-paying jobs in the city.
Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you. I just want to comment on a couple things that have been said here, and I have a question too. Like first, I just want to acknowledge, I want to thank Labor for coming and sharing the impact this will make with you in very real ways. And I want to call out, of the 650,000 people we are elected to represent, Labor and members of Labor and our workforce is a part of that as well, and we appreciate that. And so I want to acknowledge that. I also just wanted to ask a question of Commissioner Maps. So, and this is just curious. So you introduced the 20% last week, or 20 cents, sorry. So is there a reason that you chose not to do the full 40 so that we could have had the fuller discussion here as a council?
Yes, I didn't have 3 votes for 40 cents.
Okay, because we hadn't talked, so I was just curious about why we didn't have a fuller conversation.
In the back and forth as we were going in, and there's been some speculation in the press around this, so we might as well just make it explicit. Basically, the TikTok on what happened last week or the week before with PBOT fees was, I had planned to come here. And ask for a 40-cent an hour increase in parking fees. Indeed, that was contained in the mayor's budget. Shortly after mayor released his proposed budget, there was a renewed and legitimate concern about Portland losing its population. The mayor came forward with a proposal to basically freeze rates and fees. Frankly, in many areas that I help manage. So that's as true with PBOT, and you'll notice water. We'll talk about water and BES next. The proposal was to keep, the mayor's proposal was to keep rates flat compared to what, the mayor's proposal was to basically take away that 40 cents an hour increase, and frankly, the mayor had the votes to do it. So I did a lot of conversations with the other offices to, number one, try to argue that the mayor's proposal was wrong. I did not win on that. As we dug more into it, it seemed like there was a majority on council to split the difference. And there were 3 votes out there for a 20 cent an hour as opposed to a 40 cent an hour rate increase, and that's what I pitched. And that's what we got, and that's how we got here.
Well, I just want to play for the rock. I think I say this to underscore a larger question that I think we need probably more conversation among our offices. You and I talked about this in our check-in.
Yep.
Would appreciate the ability to weigh in the conversation before council. So, but thank you. But I appreciate where you're coming from.
Sure.
And really understand both sides of this very difficult issue.
Great, I appreciate the note, Commissioner Rubio.
Very good, thank you. This is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Next item, also a non-emergency ordinance. Actually, we're going to read 422 and 423 together. Both are non-emergency ordinances.
Item 422, authorize the rates and charges for water and water-related services beginning July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, and fix an effective date. 423, revise sewer and stormwater rates, charges, and fees in accordance with the fiscal year 2023 through 24 sewer rate study.
Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, today I want to begin by introducing 2 amendments that will increase the BES and water rates that we discussed and voted on last week. These amendments, marking a marginal increase to rates discussed by council last week, include a critical new program called RAMP that will serve some of the most vulnerable Portland renters beginning just this July. By making small adjustments to the utility rate package, council is expanding the reach of the Utility Bureau's financial assistance program, offering by approximately 14,700 people. That nearly doubles the number of households that we can help with our financial assistance program. I'll tell you, this is important because Portland has been a leader in providing financial assistance to those in need. This innovative pilot program helps solve a challenge challenge that utilities across the nation have been struggling with for years, providing low-income tenants and multifamily properties with utility bill relief. Single-family households have individual utility bills. In tenant housing, it's much more complicated, but this program helps solve that problem. Now I will introduce these amendments. Now, Amendment 422, with Amendment 422, I move that item 422 with the documents submitted to the clerk on Tuesday or as part of the Tuesday memo. Let me try that again so it's cleaner. I move to amend item 422 with documents submitted with the Tuesday memo. This amendment increases water rates and water-related charges by 0.2% to 7.9% to include a discount under the Portland Water Bureau and Bureau of Environmental Services regulated affordable multifamily assistance program, also called RAMP. And I have a second amendment, if I still have the clerk and the lawyers with me. I move to amend item 423 with documents submitted with the Tuesday memo. This memo increases sewer and water rates by 0.92% to 4.07% to include a discount under the Portland Water Bureau and Bureau of Environmental Services regulated affordable multifamily assistance program, also called RAMP. Let me simplify that for those on council and for those watching at home. Basically, I'm proposing a slight increase to the rates that we talked about last week. We're talking about an increase of about 0.64%. This program will, that slight increase will allow us to extend utility assistance to low-income families who live in multifamily settings. That essentially represents a tripling of the number of folks that we currently help with our utility assistance programs. And if I recall correctly, the cost to the average Portlander by virtue of this 0.4% increase in rates would be about 85 cents a month. So for an additional 85 cents a month, we will be able to bring utility assistance to about 14,700 Portlanders. In terms of the size of these discounts, we're talking about a 20% water discount and a 50% sewer discount. I think this is a great program. We've been working on it for, frankly, the whole time I've had this portfolio. It's a partnership with the Housing Bureau. Very excited to partner with them and to help some of our most vulnerable Portlanders. So I just wanted to take a moment and put that on the table and ask my colleagues, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gonzalez, seconds.
Oh, how about, can I take the first second? Let's do the second. Who wants to second? There's room for everybody here, kids. Who wants to second 422?
Commissioner Rubio, did you want a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rubio.
And me, I have a second for 423. I got two amendments.
I'll join in.
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought we.
Great.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that. It's late in the day, folks. It's bumpy, but we'll get there. Great. Thank you. Now that we have those amendments as part of this ordinance, next what I want to do is to invite staff up to talk a little bit about the rates that we have. I have staff from the Water Bureau and Environmental Services to bring us a briefing on proposed water and stormwater and sewer services for the next fiscal year. I have also asked them to address RAMP as part of their presentation. One of the things, and actually, why don't I just stop here and let staff take it over. Welcome. We have the Director of the Water Bureau, Gabe Solmer, and Farshad Al-Dadasi, Business Service Director for Environmental Services. Welcome, and thank you for sticking with me through this cumbersome introduction.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps, Mr. Mayor, Council. We have a brief presentation to walk through and reading between the lines, we will try and gloss some of the information that you've seen earlier. But I think we'll start with just a really quick recap of what the missions of our two bureaus are. The mission for BES is to manage Portland's wastewater and stormwater infrastructure to protect public health and the environment. And the mission for water.
And on the water side, to serve excellent water every minute of every day. And both of our budgets are the biggest way that we can live those values. And we've also always been, both bureaus have always been public health organizations that really act at a generational level to build and maintain systems that work for everyone.
So I'd like to start by just reviewing the general categories of our revenue. Of course, we balance our expenditures against rate revenue and fees. To be clear, we do not draw on the general fund. 90% of our rate and fees, 90% of our budget is covered by rate and fee revenue. For the Water Bureau, 88% of revenues come from water sales, and for BES, 57% of our revenue comes from sanitary rates and 34% from stormwater rates. Those revenues pay for our annual expenditures. We are a capital-intensive organization. About 2/3 of our expenditures are related to capital infrastructure investments. BES's requested budget next year is $726.9 million, and Water's budget is $541.2. We do have about 25% of our combined budgets going to operations and maintenance, and the balance, we make transfers to general fund, utility license fees, and other funds. So we, I think, mentioned that we're a very capital-intensive organization. We have combined valuations of our capital assets at $47.5 billion. Those assets, sorry if we can go back real quick, I just want to talk a little bit about the condition of those assets. I think to be effective stewards of those assets and to have effective asset management, we need to understand those conditions. The majority of our assets are in the very good and good categories, but there are areas of investment that we need to make, and particularly in BES, we have nearly $5 million of assets valued that we do not have a good understanding of what the conditions are. So there is risk there, and having stable and sustained infrastructure investment helps us plan over the long term for those needed investments for our current community and for the future. There are a number of drivers for our infrastructure investments. Ongoing system maintenance, replacing critical infrastructure before it fails is always more cost effective. We have very significant regulatory compliance drivers for our investments. Of course, seismic and climate resiliency is an important consideration for which projects we invest in and how we design those projects. Equitable economic recovery is also very important, both in terms of where we invest in our community and who is doing that work. We have combined 5-year capital improvement plans that total just shy of $3 billion over 5 years. The Water Bureau's totals at $1.8 billion, and almost all of that, $1.3 billion, is dedicated to the federally mandated treatment plants and pipelines that are currently being worked on. For BES, our 5-year CIP is $1.1 billion. So that was a whirlwind tour of our budget. I'm going to hand it off to Gabe to talk a little bit about our utility bills.
Thanks, Rashad. And before we jump into the mechanics of the rate ordinance, just wanted to review the utility bill. I think it's important. We've talked a lot about the value that customers get for these fees and rates. So just a quick tour of that to see how these bills support a mix of infrastructure, maintenance and resiliency, environmental stewardship, and key utility services that support our economy and community. And you can see there the breakdown of all of those and where they go. Also, just give a quick shout out to our website. It has a lot of great information, so if customers are wondering how these break down even further, they can check that out as well. I'll move quickly then to the next slide, which is just a focus on affordability. It's something obviously that we've all been talking about here today. And I want to highlight that our rates at Water and BES are affordable to many customers, but not to all. And I want to be transparent about that. We know that some customers need assistance, and we do have, as Commissioner Mapp said, a robust financial assistance program that includes all of the items that you see here. I'll speak more directly to RAMP, but you can see that there are a lot of existing, long-standing programs and policies to support customers. The other side of these discounts that I think is important too is keeping rates low for all. I don't want to miss that in these discussions. So both bureaus are also managing costs to minimize rate increases, and that helps keep rates affordable. So what is RAMP? We've been talking about this so much. Let's delve a little bit into it. It is the Regulated Affordable Multifamily Assistance Program, runs right off the tongue. It's a new partnership between the Water Bureau, the Bureau of Environmental Services, and the Housing Bureau. And it is a discount to multifamily properties that are approved for the nonprofit low-income housing limited tax exemption program. Another mouthful. But for those of you who are not familiar with that, the NPLTE is a city-enabled, statewide, long-standing property tax exemption program for low-income housing that is held by nonprofit organizations. So many of the organizations that we are very familiar with run housing programs and are part of this. The on-bill discount will vary by service type, so water services would receive a 20% discount, and sewer and stormwater would be at the 50% level. And RAMP will start as a 3-year pilot program so that we can measure its performance and impact. And who are we talking about in terms of who RAMP will benefit? Well, more than 95,000 Portland households pay more than 4% of their income towards sewer, stormwater, and their water bills. That's a measure of affordability that was set by the US EPA. And it tells us the basic services are not affordable for about 35% of Portland households. We also know, and in that sort of middle circle, darker blue, that 2/3 of renters fall into that category. The city is a leader in single-family assistance. It's a program we've had for many, many years, but we have not successfully reached multifamily households. I think that's very clear. So that's what RAMP helps us do. It will expand our reach and our financial assistance offerings by approximately 14,700 households. As the commissioner said, that would nearly triple the households that currently receive financial assistance. So what are those benefits? In terms for renters, the financial benefit is about $325 per unit per year. That's about a 4% reduction in rent if you were talking about a family of 3 at 30% of MFI, so that's a significant benefit. As you can see, also, RAMP will reach approximately 12% of multifamily units. So not all of them. We want to be very clear about that. This is a first step in expanding our financial assistance programs. So while it's a massive increase over who's currently served, we really need to do more to reach all customers. And who will receive the benefits we just talked about? Well, RAMP serves multifamily properties based on their participation in that NPLTE program. That's what allows us to bring the administrative costs down. That was a big barrier to bringing this forward and why we've been working on it for so long. The benefit is also that individual tenants don't need to apply, so it reduces barriers for lower income households to participate. It also reduces administrative barriers for the nonprofit so that they can focus on serving our most vulnerable. So we do know that RAMP will not serve all multifamily properties, just those in the NPLTE. I do, though, want to say that this is a first step, really a giant leap forward. It will not be our last step. We look forward to bringing you updates and more data. Both organizations, all 3 organizations in this case, are very data-driven, and we want to provide that to you as RAMP rolls out. And I think in times when we're hearing more and more about the need to collaborate and coordinate, not just within the city, but with our community partners, I think you should be very proud of your workforce and those community partners that we have prioritized just that. All right, that was whirlwind on ramp. I will just finish with just a little information about the rate ordinance so that we can all be clear about what is included in the amended rate ordinance that you have before you. With ramp, that represents foregone revenue for both bureaus, so the rate request is a combined 5.54 increase. We are holding SDCs at their current rate as per the conversation we had last week, so no increase there. And then all other fees and charges, and these are things just to level set for you, like installing a meter or inspecting a stormwater facility. Those are either done at the cost of service in water's case or at a modest 15% increase for BES. So the 15% does not get BES all the way up to recovering their full costs. It does get them closer to full cost recovery. And the increases, if you were wondering, for this category are primarily due to the increases in the salaries of the people doing that work, and again, primarily as the result of the labor agreements that were reached by council. This is just a slide of the typical monthly bill. You can see the current bill on the left and the proposed bill on the right. So what would this mean for customers? For a typical single-family residential monthly bill, with these rates, that household would see an increase of $7.48. For our folks in low-income Tier 1, those are those who are at 60% of median household income, that increase would be $3.57. And for customers in the Tier 2 level, that would be 30% of MFI, that increase is $1.21. Quick peek at a comparison to our peer utilities. We remain right in the middle of the pack. These utilities are chosen carefully to look as closely as set up to our city. So many of our peers have completed filtration. They are filtered systems, but they haven't addressed a combined sewer overflow CSO situation, which is what BES did with Big Pipe. So we do expect to stay in the middle as filtration is completed and other cities address CSOs. And I'll turn it back over to bring us home.
All right. What you're seeing here is the historic trends for our annual rate increases and what is projected in our future rate profiles. You'll see that we really, as utilities, are pursuing a strategy of stable and predictable rate increases. The combined rate is the center black line, and the blue is water, green is BES's. It's important to note that, and I'll get to this in the next slide, that we do have significant headwinds, financial headwinds that we are anticipating, and we need to begin to prepare for financially in our plan. And so while we are hoping for a less than requested rate increase this year, we do need to get back on track and build our rate base to prepare for those financial headwinds, which I'll review on the last slide here. And I'll just say that this shouldn't be new information. I think for the last several budget conversations, we've brought this information to council, and we are now starting to realize these expenses. Inflation, recessionary impacts, economic impacts have been clearly documented in multiple industries, including in ours. Infrastructure investments are costly, and the longer that we have backlog, the more costly those projects become. O&M costs on an aging system increase with the age of the system. We do have increasing regulatory compliance burdens that have a capital investment component to them. Environmental remediation is a cost burden that we are anticipating and need to start preparing for. The city's costs are increasing, and we received general fund overhead increases that were not originally part of our budget that we had to accommodate in our budget. And of course, We need to make up somehow to keep our budget balanced the freezing of SDCs or the deferral of SDCs in the short term through rate increases. So these are all impacting our need to have higher rates. So the utilities believe that amended rates that are proposed will continue to help us meet our current service level expectations for our community. This rate increase will also help us significantly expand our affordability programs to portions of the community that we have not been able to reach in the past, and frankly, to prepare the city to face significant infrastructure risks that are looming. And I think that's it from us.
Very good. Colleagues, questions?
Mr. Mayor, I think we might have some invited testimony today.
Very good. Could I ask just one question about a chart while I got you here? Could you go back to the chart showing out your rate? So we have fairly sizable increases projected from 2022 through, it looks like, mid-2024, and then it levels off. Why does it level off? Why are you predicting leveled off rate increases, given that you testified that we have significant financial headwinds ahead?
It's a very good question. Our approach to financial planning is to smooth those shocks over the long term. So we are anticipating when those impacts will be coming, and we want to make sure that we're building our revenues in a steady way so that we don't have these massive swings. Some of these cost increases we're realizing now, like inflation or market impacts. Some we know that they will be sizable, but we don't know exactly what the amount will be that we'll need to have available. So we're just trying to build that base so that we can insulate our ratepayers from those variances that might otherwise impact them.
When do we pay off the big pipe?
The big pipe, I think, was 2011?
When does it get paid off?
Oh, when does it get paid off? Excuse me. Soon. I'm not exactly sure of the year. This is part of what our interest expenses for is paying off those bond debts. I believe it's within the next 2 to 4 years.
Okay. Could that be one of the reasons why rates flatten out over time, is some of the capital projects that we borrowed money for we're paying off?
That's a good point. You don't see the history prior to 2013 and 14. We had rates. BES had rates in the 7% and 8% annual increase to pay off big pipe, and so as those projects expenses came down, so did our rates, and now we are trying to build that base back up.
And you're kind of seeing the opposite happen with water and the filtration project.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez has a question.
Well, I want to test the assumption that water rates on this chart are flat, right? You're showing above the rate of inflation consistently in terms of rates that we passed on to water users, correct?
Correct. And I apologize if I misspoke. The rates are not flat, but the annual rate of increase is flat.
It's showing flat.
Yeah.
And just so folks can correctly interpret this, I guess, is the above inflation rate increases, looking historically, at least what's on the chart here, is that largely attributable to compliance-related CapEx, or what are the primary drivers of that?
Yeah, if we can go back to the capital, the cost drivers. Sorry, maybe it's forward. I forget which direction it is. These are the significant drivers. Regulatory compliance often requires additional capital investment. This is true for filtration. This is true for BES's STEP program, which is a $500 million program. And as regulations change, those requirements roll down to the bureaus and have to be funded. I'll also point out that inflation, there are different levels of inflation. If we're talking consumer inflation, which still has been at historic highs the last couple of years, that has been less than what our construction inflation has been, which for projects has exceeded 60% in some cases. So this is just, we have to put an asterisk by when we say inflation, making sure that we're using the right point of reference.
Got it. And on, you know, and just publicly sharing commentary that I've exchanged that I've had with Commissioner Mapps, just on the compliance elements, particularly essentially unfunded mandates from the federal government, for lack of a better term, that are pushed down to localities, just assuring that we're exploring, you know, it's really a government relations issue, but are we fully exploring our opportunities to lessen those burdens? And, you know, obviously the filtration project is one that is a very big price tag and that we'll be paying for a long, long time. And whatever we can do to be proactive on that. Again, that's not your problem, but it is certainly the city's problem. And I just point that out here. Second, how do commercial rates, commercial water users, you know, I don't know if we had a slide on that, but I certainly hear about our rates relative to other cities with less access to a lot of water. So I just sort of curious what those rate trends have been.
Want to speak to water?
Water or I mean, it's just, it's.
Well, I'll just speak generally, and we can get you some specifics. Generally, the commercial rates for sewer and stormwater will also increase proportionately. The calculation for commercial usage is different than for residential. And in these settings, we've typically focused on the residential component, but we are anticipating through this action to have increased rate revenue from commercial customers as well.
And would that be commensurate with the rate of inflation, higher than the rate of inflation, or and when I say, I mean, I'm essentially CP, you know, consumer price index, not necessarily focused on construction costs, but.
Right. It would be proportionate to the residential rate here, which is slightly higher than the consumer rate of inflation.
Okay. Thank you.
And Commissioner, I didn't mention it in the slides, but we do also have programs, discount or efficiency programs on the commercial side as well. We work closely with small and large commercial facilities to help them reduce their usage and then their costs.
Thank you.
Can I jump in here and ask a question? Or Commissioner Gonzalez, are you done?
Yes.
I'm going to pose this question directly to the Director of the Water Bureau. My colleague, Commissioner Gonzalez, was being polite. I think one of the questions that is out there, and it would be helpful to have a clear answer to, is it possible for the Water Bureau to get out of building this filtration plant, or the Fed's making us do this?
The very short and very direct answer is we have to do this.
Okay.
Absolutely. What I will say is that we have been looking over the last 5 years as we got this mandate to how we can reduce the burden on customers, how we can use the city values in terms of intergenerational equity, in terms of who is paying what and when for this. And I will also say that we have been very, I think, diligent in looking at federal programs such as WIFIA to look at how we can reduce that debt service going forward.
Thank you, Director. Very good. You had invited testimony?
Yeah, do we have Sarah SEA from above here today? Virtual? Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
The floor is yours. Maybe if you could just tell us.
The floor is yours. Maybe if you could just tell us your name and what's on your mind.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, and Bureau Directors. My name is Sarah Messier. I am both an ex officio member of the Public Utility Board and Water Bureau staff. I have the great honor to represent the Public Utility Board today and share the board's feedback on the rate impacts of recent budget decisions. So as you know, PUB is charged with providing independent community oversight regarding policy, operations, and budgetary decisions for the Portland Water Bureau and the Bureau of Environmental Services, as well as to advise the council on how to navigate the difficult decisions regarding the utilities. We are here today to reiterate some of the board's priorities communicated throughout this process and attempt to address potential harm that can be caused by recent council actions regarding the utilities. The city's stated priorities and core values, as adopted by council, intend to center anti-racism, equity, transparency, communication, collaboration, and fiscal responsibility in all actions and decisions. However, the council's vote last week reversed course for the city's utility bureaus and demonstrated the opposite of those values, lacking transparency, collaboration, and timely communication with the community. With just days between your introduction of these revenue reductions to approval, there was inadequate time for Bureau staff to prepare information on these impacts of the proposals, and you eliminated any possibility of authentic engagement with the public before decisions were made. Last-minute budget cuts to our most essential resource, water, impacts every Portlander negatively, now and into the future. A process that does not allow for true engagement and rushes to decisions while centering limited interests is classic white supremacist culture and contrary to the value of anti-racism in decision-making. Today we ask, how is intergenerational equity and fiscal responsibility reflected when a decision values the cost to a small subset of interests of people today over the increased costs of deferred maintenance, pushing even higher costs onto future generations? Have you transparently provided the background data to justify this decision and balance it with data on the impacts or demonstrated intentional inclusion to engage community voices? Where are your core values reflected in this late notice and short process for such significant changes to the budget? We understand the underlying concerns and deeply share your concern about affordability, but these need to be balanced and weighed against the risk with sufficient time for true engagement and consideration of impacts. A core concern of PUB remains the affordability of utility services for all Portlanders, particularly for people that bear the brunt of structural inequities. This year, we've updated our values to make it clear that clean water is a human right, and further define the centrality of affordability and fairness across generations. The PUB values and finds consistent with our principles the programs to promote equity, affordability programs, and long-term planning. We supported the rate increases necessary to fund these programs and staff, including the new Water Bureau positions, and especially those intended to further diversify the workforce. The board is concerned about the impact on labor with the depth of cuts that may be required by not increasing rates on pace with increased costs, as well as potential negative impact on workforce equity issues. We are pleased to hear today's amendments to proposing to increase the rate sufficiently to fund the RAMP program. PUB supports the expansion of financial assistance to multifamily residences who rent from nonprofits and the rate increase necessary for this expansion. The previous financial assistance program with Home Forward proved inadequate in providing financial assistance to multifamily renters. RAMP is a step towards greater equity and one of many that are necessary. The expansion and full funding of this financial assistance program would ensure continual access to safe water for more people. The RAMP program is also a model of collaboration and partnership between the bureaus during a critical realignment of bureaus during this charter reform period. Council's budget approval included direction not to reduce financial assistance program, but failed to fund the support to low-income apartment renters, and we understand the amendments could resolve that oversight if approved. PUB continues to pay particular attention to the choices the bureaus have made to balance affordable and accessible water, sewer, and stormwater services for community members today with investments in long-term system resilience. The changes that result from Council's decision to reduce the rate increase and hold SDC rates level not only eliminated funding for programs, staff, and infrastructure investments that PUB supported, but could also result in increasing the over-reliance on deferred maintenance, negative impacts on workforce equity issues, and higher than forecasted future rate increases. If there is any way to mitigate the choices already made, we urge you to do so. To ensure all components are considered, the board also encourages the review of internal services from non-rate or fee-based bureaus and overhead expenses from those bureaus that must be passed on to ratepayers. We ask you not to rush into decisions that respond to and benefit some local interests at the cost of other Portlanders, advancing potential negative impacts to bond rating, infrastructure, and future generations. These processes bypass true public engagement, harming all Portlanders and particularly marginalized communities. The people that make up our city need adequate infrastructure for safe, accessible water and for maintaining sewer and stormwater services. Infrastructure costs are a major component of the utility budgets and thus majorly impacts all of our utility bills. Freezing SDCs reduces revenue at a time of great financial need to help for-profit businesses at the cost of our community members. One-time taxes are not forcing people to leave Portland. Startup costs like SDCs pay for the city's investments that make Portland a desirable place to live. Businesses invest in us because we have great value as a city. We must stop offering Portland up to those that want to take advantage of what we have to offer while not investing back. In our push to navigate debts and investments, the pub supported the set-asides for Portland Harbor and Columbia Slough expenses, identifying these as a fiscally responsible approach to plan for known future obligations and support generational equity rather than pushing a larger expense down the road. The board also had numerous discussions regarding the Tryon Creek wastewater treatment plant, particularly about the sale of valuable riverfront property for $1 and long-term assumption of risk and cost. Some board members remain concerned about the existing agreement with Lake Oswego and desire a renegotiated agreement to improve the economic impact to the city of Portland with potentially positive impact on rates while protecting the river-related ecological values on the site and addressing equity. As PUB considers capital improvements, we are concerned that the cost of these delayed investments only increase in future years. Money spent now is more valuable than money spent in a year from now. The delay of projects will have greater impact on rates in the future when the bureaus need to make up for the delays and the projects will be more costly for future generations. PUB is committed to ensuring that the city's infrastructure remains reliable and expects to remain engaged and informed about key capital projects and investments, particularly when there are trade-offs to consider, and PUB can influence these decisions. We are getting to the point where the necessary utility infrastructure improvements will cost Portlanders near 10% rate hike every year into the future. With governance change fresh in our minds, perhaps it is also time to recognize that our water, sewer, and stormwater resources cannot be paid solely by ratepayer funding. The board encourages you to refer to our prior communications for more details regarding our key priorities. We expect to be engaged early in the fiscal year 24-25 budget development so that our feedback can inform these critical decisions. So in closing, I know that was a lot. We're almost done. We want to urge the City Council to recenter and reinvest in your stated values: anti-racism, equity, transparency, communication, collaboration, and fiscal responsibility in all city actions and decisions. We challenge you to look closely at your process to identify whether your values were adequately reflected and demand improvements in the future that more fully put the core values into action during your decision making. Thank you for the opportunity to share our feedback with you today.
Thank you, Sarah. And
Sarah, could I ask a question? And thank you for your testimony, and I appreciate the fullness of it, and I agree with a core statement you've made around planning, and I appreciate your blunt acknowledgement that once again, one of our utilities has an unsustainable revenue model that has either been unintentionally or willfully ignored for some period of time. But I have to take you to task. Could you explain why it is an act of white supremacy for me to propose holding the line on rate increases for Portlanders who are struggling under significant and multiple tax increases, rate increases, and fee increases? I don't see that as inherently white supremacist. I see that as an economic concern that I have about constituents in my community who tell me they cannot afford any more increased taxes, increased fees, or increased utility rates. And it's not wealthy people telling me that. It's people on the other end of the economic spectrum who are saying, I can't afford to live here anymore. How is that an act of white supremacy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I am reflecting back on our last board meeting was last week. So I will do my best to encapsulate the discussion that the full board had. When it came specifically looking at the rate increases for the Water Bureau, those were funding RAMP, which is a financial assistance program. Those were funding apprenticeship positions that were intentionally going to bring in a more diverse workforce into the Water Bureau. And with these freezes, this is turning these equity initiatives into discretionary funding. And by cutting that, and it instead of centering equity as an essential service that the city must provide.
But Sarah, wouldn't you also agree that if we continue to increase the rates at the rate that has been proposed by the Bureau, the chart which we just saw publicly posted 8% year-over-year increases for the foreseeable future, don't you agree that at some point that becomes unaffordable for lower income people in our community? And I realize some small percentage would gain access to RAMP or other mitigation tools, but the bottom line is every time we increase the rates, more and more people fall into the category where they can't afford it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
So I'm not the board, so I can't answer that question.
I'm just asking your opinion. You're a smart person. I've known you for quite some time. Don't you agree with that economically?
I do not feel comfortable answering this question without having that consideration.
And yet
with the
you
board.
felt comfortable
And
suggesting the alternative is an act of white supremacy. So I'm just saying, could we please keep the rhetoric and the hyperbole to a minimum? And let's talk about this as a rate issue and an economic issue, because ultimately that's what I believe it is. That's just my 2 cents.
And I guess I would, invitation to join a pub meeting and have this discussion with the full board. I put that on the table. Commissioner Mapps has joined us, I think, twice in the past fiscal year, and we've had great conversations as a full board and had gained understanding of his priorities and have had frank discussions about what's on our mind as well. So I am one individual. I'm reading, this is testimony that was put together by the full board. So these are not specifically my words. This is the full board. So.
Okay, well, I just want you to look at this from my perspective. I'm literally looking at this as an economic issue at the household level. That is my perspective. And, in talking to our friends at the Rose Festival this morning, one thing we agreed about conflict is we don't presume the intentions of people we disagree with. And we may have an honest disagreement of opinion on rates, on economics, on the impact to Portland households. I think the cumulative impact is profound at the household level. It could be that many other people have an honest disagreement of opinion with me, and that's fine. But I would really just encourage us not to jump to the conclusion that that's somehow a white supremacist perspective. It's not. From my perspective, it's purely economics. Commissioner Mapps, you had a comment?
Sure. I'm going to stay away from the white supremacy thing, but Mr. Mayor, you did say, I did want to jump in and disagree with you on something else, but this is a happy.
I was just responding to your invited testimony.
Yeah.
I felt like I was being singled out since my position on this is well known. So that's all.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate the dialogue between you and Sarah on that matter. The other thing that I did want to jump in on is in your comments you talked about the utilities as having an unsustainable financial model. And actually, I don't think that's true. I'll tell you, I am trying very hard to communicate to my colleagues on council that PBOT very much does have an unsustainable financial model. I have got brilliant people working with me to run all these bureaus. We do not have an answer for fixing PBOT. On the other hand, water and sewer, while we face, I think, some short-term and medium-term challenges in general, I think both of these bureaus are on solid ground. You know, a lot of the increases that we're facing right now are a product of frankly, unfunded federal mandates, having to build the STEP program, having to build the filtration plant. Projects like these are deeply inconvenient and very expensive, but they actually go away relatively quickly. You'll see that as we heard today, we've almost paid for the big pipe. So I think this is very good news in the water space and in the environmental services space. These bureaus basically are sound, they're doing great work, and they will be here 100 years from now. We do need to be very careful about how we manage this particular moment, and I appreciate the way everyone on council has really come together to think deeply about how we can support these most basic of services. And that's the only intervention I wanted to make in this space. If you take nothing away from what happened today or the conversations that we had today, I hope you take this. PBOT is in a crisis, and we need to come together to fix that crisis. BES and water are really more management issues. I think if we're allowed some conversation and some room to run, we'll be able to sort these out over the course of the next couple of years. And I see Commissioner Gonzalez has his hand up, so I'll put my hand down.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'm going to keep this brief. I disagreed with the mayor last week, but I so tire of the invocation of white supremacy and equity arguments on economic issues. And I think it's a bastardization of language. It shuts down free recourse. So I continue to be disappointed in the reliance on such arguments that really don't get to the root of the matter. Again, I disagree with the mayor last week. I still disagree with him on this subject, but I am so tired of that type of rhetoric in these complex discussions. I'll leave it at that.
And Mr. Mayor, just to move us along, I believe that we still have public testimony on these items.
Very good.
We have two people signed up. First up is Rob Martinow.
Rob, welcome back.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rob Martinow. I'm the president and member of AFSCME Local 189. I also work in the Portland Water Bureau and have for 23 years. I think we need an additional prop up here because I would love to drop the mic for Sarah and her testimony and what she was allowed to say or brought as a group. Having been on the Portland Utility Board and serving there for 5 years, it can be a monumental task to get everyone in the room to vote and agree on what will be said and brought to council. So I also understand her reluctance to speak when as invited testimony. I remember when we, as a city and you, Mayor, talked about moving away from decision packages and to something we call program offers and a different way of funding things, a different way of looking at how we would fund, create, and support the infrastructure in all the city bureaus, but particularly this was, I think, appropriate in our infrastructure bureaus. Last week, we heard on rates that would have increased in water, sewer, our stormwater system, and transportation. Those rates would have supported some really important program offers. I hear what we're doing in bringing RAMP back today, and that is a small piece of what needed to be done. I also recognize that some of these rates that are not being allowed to move forward are literally holding the line on increased internal business services that the city charges. Now, I don't assume anyone here to be immune to irony, but when we hear from planning and sustainability and they talk about it costs more to have people work, it costs more to find people to come do the work, the price of gas, it's inflation, it's all of these things. The city is not immune to those. The city's internal business services are not immune to those. And when those costs are passed on to these revenue infrastructure bureaus, what's happened at this board is you've stopped them from passing on those costs. I absolutely support the people that do solid waste hauling be paid, that they have a safe work environment, that they have everything every employee should have. I support the rate increases in planning and sustainability, and it seems incongruent to not allow for those same type of pass-through, as they were characterized, pass-through costs for these bureaus to be able to have that same opportunity. I guess my ask would be that you please reconsider the decision from last week and do what you can to fix and mitigate these costs. And this is something that, as a city, I'm happy to lean in. I believe all of labor is happy to lean in and how we can fix the problems. But decision packages felt like a line item veto. And program offer feels like just a wholesale slice out of big budget bureaus. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Rob.
Mr. Mayor, I think we might have one more member of the public who wants to testify.
Yes, we have James O'Laughlin.
Very good, James.
James here. Oh, there you go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your making this time for public comment available. My name is James O'Laughlin. I'm here to implore you to unwind the recently passed rate cuts for our city's essential infrastructure bureaus. As a representative of city workers with Laborers 483, I can tell you that these cuts will be felt by our members as an attack. Seeing this council change their planned budget to include cuts to bureaus staffed by workers who recently went on strike looks like retaliation. A last-second change in revenue made haphazardly after the city negotiated a contract to end the strike looks like bad faith bargaining. These are workers who kept Portland running through the pandemic and well before. You can only punish them for their service so many times before they decide the city isn't worth it. As a longtime wastewater operator with the city, I can tell you that these rate reductions will save no one in the city any money. Whatever minuscule savings Portlanders receive will be dwarfed by the bills to come due to cover deferred maintenance and catastrophic failures. Meantime between failures will skyrocket without the resources to uphold a robust preventative maintenance program. This means that our utility bureaus will provide worse service at a higher price point. Finally, as a member of the community who is raising 2 young children in North Portland, I can tell you I don't want insignificant savings for my family at a cost of their future wealth and safety. These targeted bureaus are first and foremost safety bureaus. BES' main mandate is to prevent disease spread throughout the city. The Water Bureau provides us with clean water, and PBOT provides us with means to travel about in safety. If these cuts go through, they will cost us some of the security that these bureaus provide. Rate reductions will sacrifice public services while doing nothing about the real cost for my family: housing, healthcare, childcare. I'm incredibly sympathetic to the affordability crisis here in Portland. I go through it just like the majority of us do. But these marginal bites at the apple are only going to increase the financial burden on the city and its people when catastrophe strikes and the representative of these bureaus come before council to ask for emergency funding for this failure or that. I try to have a good faith standpoint for those I disagree with, but it is really hard for me to see where the win is here in these cuts. It seems like something that's going to harm our city's workforce, harm our city's people, and really just be a big drain on us economically. You know, investment in these bureaus pays for itself and then some. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Mr. Mayor, I believe that concludes public testimony, but we should check with the clerk.
Yes, that
Indeed, we
completes-
should.
That completes testimony.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so we have 2 amendments on the table before us. The first amendment is item 422, and the amendment was the 7.9% rate. And correct me, Commissioner Maps, if I get any of this incorrect. We're not voting on the main motions today. We're moving them to second. But these are the amendments. Please call the roll on the amendment to 422.
Bryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Wheeler.
I have to say that I'm deeply disappointed with the conversation we had today. I think it's okay if we have disagreements in this chamber, and I've said it many, many times. If we all come into this chamber and we all agree on everything, that is a dysfunctional democracy. But for a democracy to function, we can't come in here and immediately assume that if somebody disagrees with you, they are retaliating against you, that they are white supremacists because they disagree with you. And frankly, I heard mischaracterization. These are not cuts. These are not cuts. These are holding the line on projected increases, which you just saw are year after year going to exceed the rate of inflation. That is a reasonable economic concern that some of us have. I also can't escape the economic reality that if we continue to increase rates at this rate, more and more people in our city who are already marginalized will become more marginalized, and they will find it harder and harder to be able to afford to live here. And again, it's not this one rate. It's disingenuous for people to come in and say, oh, just this, it's only so much. Again, the reality is in this city, and unique to this city, relative to many other cities around the nation, is the taxes, the fees, and the utility rate increases that are rolling up collectively, apparently unabated, at rates that exceed the rate of inflation, is drowning the people who live in our city who cannot afford them. That is a concern to me. It's a legitimate concern. You can disagree, and disagree honorably. But it shouldn't be an act of courage for me to sit here and hold the line on rate increases and be called a racist and be called a retaliator and be called all the other things that people have come to this rostrum today to say. I think it's unacceptable, and I'm calling it out. I'm just saying it point blank. People who want to testify in this room should do so with the assumption that people who disagree aren't doing it because they're awful people. They're doing it because they disagree. So hopefully that's the last time I'll ever have to say this. I vote no, because I don't want to keep raising the rates and have more and more people be able to unafford the rates with the assumption that then we'll create special programs that allow people to barely pay the rates. That makes no sense to me over the long term. And by the way, this is 1 year that we've proposed. 1 year. I'm asking us to hold the line. And you can disagree with me on that. That's fine. And Rob, you and I, we disagree all the time on stuff. That's okay. Right? It's okay to disagree. But I vote no. The amendment passes. To the amendment of item 423, I will not repeat what I said, but I think you heard me the first time. Item 423, the amendment, please call the roll. This is the amendment to increase stormwater and sewer rates by 4.07%.
Bryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Wheeler.
No, the amendment passes. Item number 422 is the first reading of a non-emergency item. It moves to second reading as amended. Item 423 is the first reading of a non-emergency item. It also moves to second reading as amended. We are adjourned.